Great communicators are rare, but when they appear, they can change the world with the power of their words. I'm referring to people like Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream. Barack Obama, if you like your current insurance, you keep that insurance. Period. At the opposite end of the spectrum, we have horrible communicators, people who can't get a point across no matter how hard they try, people who are constantly misunderstood because their message is so incredibly unclear and incoherent. If they somehow manage to inspire others to take action, it's very often the wrong action because no one understands what they've been called to do. According to my Muslim friends, the worst communicator in all of history is Allah, which is odd because throughout the Quran, Allah brags about how clear his commands are. Of course, my Muslim friends don't come right out and say Allah is the worst communicator ever, but they show they believe this by relentlessly insisting that Allah rarely means what he says and that he frequently means the exact opposite of what he says. For instance, in Surah 4, verse 34 of the Quran, Allah tells Muslim men, if you fear disobedience or rebellion from your wives, warn them, banish them to separate beds, and beat them until they obey you. What does Allah mean by beat them? Well, my Muslim friends assure me that when Allah says beat them, he only means tap them lightly on the shoulder with a toothbrush as a symbol of your displeasure. Unfortunately, when Allah tried to say tap them lightly with a toothbrush, all that came out was beat them, a minor verbal blunder that led to endless misery for millions of women. In Surah 5, verse 51, Allah commands Muslims, do not take the Jews and the Christians for friends, they are friends of each other. But when he says don't take them for friends, he actually means make as many Jewish and Christian friends as possible because Islam is a religion of interfaith harmony. In Surah 98, verse 6, Allah calls Christians and Jews the worst of creatures. But when he calls us the worst of creatures, it's really a term of endearment, like when you're watching a football game with your best buddy and you say, yo, you're the worst of creatures. Now pass me the nachos, you scum. Surah 9, verse 5, Allah declares, when the sacred months have passed, slay the idolaters wherever you find them. But slay, in Allah's bizarre terminology, means hug. Surah 9, verse 29, Allah orders his followers to fight those who do not believe in Allah. But even though he specifically orders Muslims to fight people based on their beliefs, he really wants them to read between the lines where the invisibly small print shows that he's only referring to self-defense. Surah 9, verse 73, Allah commands Muhammad to wage jihad against unbelievers and hypocrites when he obviously means, listen folks, the gap between my brain and my mouth is infinite. And since it's impossible to traverse an actual infinite, don't ever listen to anything I say. I confess, Muslims are making me feel sorry for poor Allah. Here he is bragging about how clear his book is, when, according to his followers, it's not clear at all. It's like someone bragging about what a great singer he is. Then he goes on American Idol and the judges tell him that he sounds like a cat trying to climb out of a pool by clawing its way up a chalkboard. So here's westernized Islamic theology in a nutshell. Allah is basically a good guy. He means well, he tries. But he has a little problem. No matter how hard he practices his vocabulary and syntax and grammar, he just can't manage to say what he means. He wants to say nice things, but he gets all tongue-tied and the words won't come out right. Allah has a speech impediment, perhaps dysphagia or some sort of cosmic Tourette syndrome. So when he wants to say, be kind to everyone, he fumbles over his words and blurts out, only be merciful towards fellow Muslims. He tries desperately to say, live in peace whenever possible, but his vocal cords malfunction, and all that comes out is, be not weary and faint-hearted, crying for peace when you should be uppermost. He spends all eternity trying to put together the simple sentence, I love everyone. But when it's time to put his mouth where his heart is, his disability kicks in, neurons misfire, and the bridge between mouth and heart collapses, leaving us with, Allah does not love the unbelievers. This Walt Disney version of Islam, so familiar to us in the West, is a tragic tale of a stuttering, stammering, feeble deity who's lost control of his faculties and is forced by his own incompetence to sit back and watch helplessly as 270 million people die in his name, until after nearly 14 centuries of endless bloodshed, he's finally rescued by his American followers, who rarely have a clue what he's commanded, and even when they do, know not to take what he says too seriously. Now, for all you westernized Muslims who think I'm making fun of your God, I'm not. You are. When you tell me to believe in a God who claims to be perfectly clear in his commands, and then you spend the rest of your conversation telling me what he really means but can't manage to say, it's like you're telling me that Allah has some serious mental health issues.
When it comes to the Quran, no one is sloppier in their interpretation than Muslims. They act like they have Allah in some sort of torture chamber where they can just stretch him and twist him until he confesses whatever they want him to say.
For the record, I think that Allah's commands are clear, and I don't even believe in your God. I'm convinced that the God of the Quran is a figment of Muhammad's depraved imagination. And this is what should keep you up at night, my Muslim friends. I have more respect for the communication ability of a homicidal figment of Muhammad's imagination than you have for the God you worship.
The great irony here is that, in a strange way, we have more respect for the Quran than Muslims do. We tell people exactly what Allah says without distorting it.
The people we're told daily are the true Muslims. Don't have even this basic level of respect for Allah?
You can reinterpret the Quran. When you reinterpret the Quran, of course, you're insulting Allah
Non, je me fais pas manquer de respect par cette petite merde.
and contradicting Muhammad.
Il n'en est pas question. Jamais.
What kind of leprechaun does have hiding in his pocket that he can simply wish away Muhammad's commands?
Sincèrement, j'ai fini par l'admirer, cet enfoiré.
After every Islamic terrorist attack, you tell us that it had nothing to do with Islam.
Vraiment blindé, ce fils de pute.
Because Islam condemns violence and terrorism.
De jour et de nuit, bordel, à lui éclater la gueule et le reste.
Actually, Muhammad said that the entire world would be dominated by Sharia, that he was commanded to fight people until they convert to Islam, and that the path to victory is terror. But you shouldn't judge an entire religion by the actions of a few people.
On lui a même planté des pics à glace dans les couilles.
Actually, I judge religions based on what they teach. That's why I told you what Islam teaches. But it doesn't teach that at all.
À la fin, il a fallu que je lui flanque la tronche dans un étau. Ta tête est dans un étau de menuisier.
Nothing to do with Islam.
Je vais t'écrabouiller la tronche comme un pamplemousse.
Islam is the religion of peace.
S'il te plaît, m'oblige pas à faire ça.
Those terrorists do not represent Muslims.
Ne m'oblige pas à être méchant.
ISIS is not Islamic, and so on.
C'est ce que tu dis, enculé, hein? Enfoiré d'enfant de salope!
How dare you try to correct Allah or his prophet?
Hein? Oh, merde.
He insulted Allah by telling us that he can speak more clearly than his God, and he insulted Muhammad by claiming to be a better interpreter of the Quran than his prophet.
In Surah 9, verse 73 of the Quran, Allah commands Muhammad to wage jihad, not only against unbelievers, non-Muslims, but also against hypocrites, Muslims who aren't really obeying Allah and Muhammad. Allah says, O Prophet, strive hard against the disbelievers and the hypocrites, and be harsh against them. Their abode is hell, and worst indeed is that destination. You think you get to pick and choose which of Allah's commands you obey, as if our religion is some sort of lunch buffet? In Surah 4, verse 65, Allah declares, But know, by your Lord, they can have no faith until they make you, O Muhammad, judge in all disputes between them, and find in themselves no resistance against your decisions, and accept them with full submission. Notice Allah says that you have no real faith unless you accept Muhammad's decisions with full submission and find in yourself no resistance against his decisions. So if you're a Muslim, but you're not obeying Muhammad's commands, you're a hypocrite. And Allah orders Muslims to wage jihad against hypocrites. Allah demands complete submission, and if you don't obey, you're not a real Muslim. Indeed, the Quran says
that you're not really a Muslim until you fully embrace everything that Allah and Muhammad command. Allah declares in Surah 33, verse 36, "It is not for a believer, man or woman, when Allah and His Messenger have decreed a matter, that they should have any option in their decision. And whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger, he has indeed strayed in a plain error."
You're not obeying Muhammad's command to do X, Y, or Z. Therefore, you're not a Muslim according to Surah 4, verse 65 of the Quran. And Muhammad says that I'll be rewarded in paradise for killing you.
Muslims from the time of Muhammad down to the present day pee while squatting. As we read in the follow-up commentary on Jamia Tirmidhi number 12, Umar said, "I have not urinated while standing since I accepted Islam."
If anyone disagrees with a single word of the Quran, is a disbeliever.
The Quran claims that semen is formed between the backbone and the ribs, that the earth is flat, that there are 7 earths, that the sun orbits the earth, that human embryos are blood clots, that the sky would fall on the earth if Allah didn't hold it up, and that stars are missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons who try to sneak into heaven, that the sun sets in a muddy pool. Surah 3, verse 28 of the Quran. "Let not the believers take disbelievers for their friends in preference to believers. Whoso doeth that hath no connection with Allah, unless it be that ye but guard yourselves against them, taking as it were security. Allah biddeth you beware only of Himself, unto Allah is the journeying." So, don't take non-Muslims as friends instead of Muslims. If you do, you have no connection with Allah, unless it's to guard yourselves against the non-Muslims. For instance, Al-Bukhari recorded that Abu ad-Darda said, "We smile in the face of some people, although our hearts curse them." Al-Bukhari said that Al-Hasan said, "The tuqya, i.e. taqiyya, is allowed until the day of resurrection."
C'est pas très sport.
Well, he's allowed to show friendship outwardly, but never inwardly. He's allowed to smile in our faces while cursing us in his heart. He's allowed to pretend to be friendly. He's allowed to pretend to be peaceful. He's allowed to deceive us.
C'est pas Coubertin.
When he lies about what Islam teaches, when he lies about the Quran, when he lies about the Hadith, when he lies about the commentaries, when he lies about Muslim scholars, as long as he's doing it to deceive us about his agenda, he's perfectly in line with the teachings of Muhammad.
Ça va, t'as pas trop mal quand même?
Il va falloir soigner ça, mais
Ouais.
ça va.
C'est assez
Ouais,
spectaculaire.
j'ai une douleur morale à ne pas avoir pu donner mes arguments.
Why should he be honest when being honest would ruin his dawah and get him into trouble with the authorities? Talking to you, he says, so to be absolutely clear, you agree that jizya should be imposed on all disbelievers, and if they refuse, they should be fought and their women and children enslaved. The response here is, of course, and I have already made all of this clear in my durus, but you never reached out to ask me.
First thing, there's been a clarification posted on Twitter. I had given up all my social media, right, which I did not respond to that person.
Wait a second, so someone who works for you and controlled this Twitter
Does not
account
work for me. Somebody who volunteered to take care of the Twitter account made that post, and as I disapproved of it, he deleted it.
So you disproved it, it got deleted.
Yes.
Just to be clear, you do not believe that jizya should be imposed on all disbelievers, and if they refuse, they should be fought and their women and children enslaved.
No.
Imam Farouk is actually a pathological liar. When with Christians he'll deny things like offensive jihad and slavery, but when with Muslims he'll affirm it,
Him and David Wood are both vile. That's a lie from him, and if you can bring evidence, I'd be more than happy to see it, right? I have never changed my views in front of Christians and Muslims. If you want to know what I believe, it's all online. It's not like I hide my beliefs. I do believe in what Allah has ordained in all of it. What is the different types of jihad? What are the rules of regulations?
He believes that jizya should be imposed on all non-Muslims and that the wives and children of anyone who refuses to pay should be enslaved. Slavery is illegal. Sheikh Uthman wants to bring it back. And you know what Islam teaches about female slaves. He believes that he should lie to non-Muslims about his ultimate goals so that we don't oppose his efforts to enslave our wives and children. He believes, correctly, that his fans have no problem whatsoever with his deception. And he believes that non-Muslims are so incredibly stupid that we'll never be able to figure this out and expose him. Unfortunately for Sheikh Uthman, he's about to realize that he's wrong about that last part.
年貢を怠ったことはなかです。お上に言いつけて土下に必要仕事とも精一杯やっております。
So this is the pattern that's been laid down for Muslims by their prophet. Stage 1, stealth jihad. When Muslims are too weak to fight, they promote peace and tolerance outwardly but never inwardly. They practice taqiyya, they prepare for jihad behind the scenes, they claim victim status, and they seek special privileges for Islam. Stage 2, defensive jihad. When Muslims are strong enough to fight, but not strong enough to subjugate the unbelievers, they terrorize their enemies, murder critics, and look for excuses to attack other groups. Stage 3, offensive jihad. When Muslims are in the majority, they violently subjugate all non-Muslims, they strive to expand their political dominion, and they rid important Muslim lands of all non-Muslims. This is the pattern we find in the Quran, in the Hadith, and in the Muslim commentaries.
お前らが善良であることはよく心得ておる。我らが捉えたいのは、金星のキリシタンを未だ信じる者と、そやつらをかくまっている者だけだ。いずれ突き止められようが。 法義をやる。これだけの議員だ。
こわばった顔するでない。3日与えよう。
My Muslim friends, if your prophet were wonderful in all respects, but did one really creepy thing, I can see why you might give him the benefit of the doubt. But when all he ever did was creepy, perverted, violent things and put his male followers on a strict schedule of shaving their pubic hair, I have to ask, what does a guy have to do to convince you to stop calling him the greatest man who ever lived? That's an insult to every other man who's ever lived.
Bonjour.
Salut.
Je suis inspecteur de police. Je cherche un homme.
Sans deck.
Si, une quarantaine d'années. Chemise blanche, cravate. Il a un sac de sport.
Voiture 48 et 52, répondez. Je répète, voiture 48 et 52, répondez.
Alors, vous avez vu quelqu'un répondant à ma description?
Non.
Bon. Merci pour votre coopération, monsieur.
Pourquoi vous avez fait ça? Viens, je vais te montrer quelque chose. N'aie pas peur, je vais pas moucharder. Je suis ton ami.
I love Muslims.
So I don't want them to think that they're serving God by imitating Muhammad. When their leaders lie to them, I want them to learn the truth so that they can make an informed decision. But politicians and reporters and actors and educators are convinced that the only way to love Muslims is to keep them in a state of ignorance and deception, to keep them from ever hearing any challenges to the nonsense that they've been taught, to keep them in bondage to an ideology that oppresses them. Is it loving to treat Muslims like perpetual children at best or as subhuman animals at worst? No, it's not. But that's how politicians and reporters and actors and educators treat them. Don't criticize their views. Well, why not? We criticize everyone else's views. But Muslims aren't like the rest of us. They can't deal with criticism or cartoons without killing people. Guess what? They can deal with criticism. And they will deal with criticism. Because there are people like me who love them enough to tell them the truth, to tell them that they've been lied to, and to encourage them to think critically about what they've been taught. If you love Muslims, join me. If you despise Muslims, just get out of the way, because there's a train coming through, a love train, a relentless love train that won't be stopped, that can't be stopped until every Muslim in the world has heard some very important truths that have been kept from them all their lives. All aboard?
Eh viens! Je fais pas venir n'importe qui là derrière. C'est mon stock privé. J'ai du super matos là-dedans.
If someone come to your house, beat you up, rape your mother, rape your daughter, kill your father, and kill your brother, and kill everyone in your family, takes over your country and forbids you to worship your God, do you respect that person? No, you don't. That is what your religion is doing to me and my fellow Christians in Iraq, in Syria, in Nigeria, in Pakistan, in Somalia, in every corner of the world.
Tu vois le tableau?
That is what Islam is doing to us Christians. That's what Islam has been doing to Christians for the last 1300 years.
Tu piges pas?
That's what Muhammad did, and that's what Muslims are doing today. Good Muslims who follow the Prophet of Islam. They follow just the beloved Prophet.
Tu vois le tableau?
And everything they do is according to Allah. It's according to Quran. It's according to Hadith. It's according to Islam.
Tu piges pas?
That is your God. That's your Allah who says in Quran from A to C, it says that kill.
À la télé, c'est toujours tout mimi.
And in every chapter of jihad in Sahih Bukhari, it says kill the Christians.
Je suis de ton côté.
Crucify them.
On est pareil, toi et moi.
Lie to them.
Mais tu vois pas qu'on est pareil.
Deceive them.
Nous n'avons rien en commun. T'es bizarre comme milicien, toi. Je ne suis pas un milicien.
You can move there. In Saudi Arabia, pack your bags and go there and leave us alone. Thank you.
Va te faire foutre. Espèce d'enflure, mais d'où tu sors?
Muslim army take married women and rape them.
Tu commences à piger.
It's okay in Islam.
Liberté de culte.
It's in the Quran. That's what they doing to my fellow Christians in Syria and Iraq today.
Mais je te chie dessus, toi et ta liberté. Mais d'où il sort cette espèce d'enfoiré?
In Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, today they rape little girls to death.
Enflure.
That is your religion.
Petite pédale.
That's your religion.
Est-ce que ça vous satisfait?
Bah, ouais, vous savez, j'admets que je suis impressionné.
They rape little girls
Mais je devrais te buter tout de suite, enculé de ta race.
Just because Muhammad did and they still doing it. That's your religion. That's your religion.
Est-ce que ça vous satisfait?
T'es gêné, hein?
Non, ça me gêne pas.
Ma femme risque de demander le divorce, mais ouais, c'est d'accord. Allons-y.
Excellent choix.
Écoute, je crois que je me suis trouvé une amie ce soir. Une compagne pour la longue route vers la connaissance.
Je vais fêter ça avec une bière. C'est amusant.
À votre santé.